One of the biggest fears about labor is tearing. Now, most people think that it just comes down to luck, but there are things that you can do before and during labor that significantly lower your risk of vaginal or perineum tears. And most moms are never told about them. So today I'm going to break down the best strategies and techniques to prevent tearing. Now, none of these work 100% of the time. There are no guarantees. And sometimes your body is going to do what it's going to do. But if there's some things that you can do to reduce the chances of tearing and you want to do them, you're going to learn about those techniques right now. And if you're someone who likes to feel prepared, stay with me until the end, because there is one mental shift I'll share that can make a big difference in how your birth feels, even more than physical techniques. By the way, I'm Diana. I'm a physician assistant specialized in women's health and gynecology. I'm a mom of 4, and on this channel, we talk about pregnancy, women's health, babies, and also being a mama. So let me know in the comments section if you are pregnant, and if so, how far along you are. Let's start with a way that you can start preparing weeks before labor even begins. Perineal massage. Now, around 34 weeks of pregnancy, the skin and the muscles nearest the vaginal opening start getting softer and stretchier. This is a good time to start something called perineal massage. So let's take a second for a quick anatomy lesson. This is the vaginal opening where the baby comes out. This is the anus where poop comes out. In between these two is the perineum. About 70 to 90% of first-time vaginal births involve some degree of perineal tear. Now, most of these are small tears, only first or second degree tears, but they can sometimes be larger tears, third or fourth degree tears. Perineal massages gently stretch the tissue, increase blood flow, and help the skin and muscles tolerate stretching, and helps the brain to recognize the sensation so that you don't tense up as much when you feel it during labor. Perineal massages are something that you can do at home. You can do it yourself, or your partner can help. If your partner is helping, you can lay down with your knees bent, and if you're doing it yourself, sit on a toilet or stand with one foot up on a chair. Gentle pressure is applied to the lower part of the vaginal opening for a few minutes. As you apply gentle pressure down towards the anus, you can gently move your fingers back and forth along the vaginal opening to help that vaginal opening feel the stretch and to relax. This helps the tissue get used to the feeling of stretching, and it may help relax more easily during birth. Now, this isn't something that you need to do every day, and it's completely optional. Some women find it helpful, others choose not to do it at all, and that's perfectly okay. Not doing perineal massages does not mean that you're doing anything wrong or that you're putting yourself at risk. It's also important to know that perineal massages is not recommended if you have vaginal bleeding, an active infection, or if your provider has told you to avoid vaginal insertion. If you're ever unsure, it's best to check with your provider before trying it. But the biggest takeaway is this: perineal massage doesn't prevent tearing completely, but studies show it can help lower the chances of more serious tears, especially for first-time vaginal births. The benefit is modest, but it's real. Think of it as giving your tissue some practice stretching, but it isn't a guarantee. So if you want to try it, it's reasonable and it's safe. Now, if you aren't comfortable with the idea, that's totally fine too. You're not putting yourself at risk. It's a helpful option, but not a requirement. Now, what if you're watching this video right now and you were further along? What if you're like 39 weeks pregnant? Never fear, there are other things that you can do during labor that can help. So first off, you can start perineal massages during labor. It might reduce the risk of larger tears like third degree or fourth degree tears. Now, if you are pregnant and vaginal tearing is one of the many questions that you have about pregnancy and labor, I have created an entire prenatal class and labor prep course just for you. In this course, you will learn all of the valuable information that you need to know about exercise, about diet, about preparation for labor, about how to advocate for yourself so that you can be a part of the decision making during labor. Many providers recommend that you take a prenatal class, but if you want the most comprehensive one, make sure to click in the video description to check out my course. And when you sign up, you will receive a lifetime free access to my Own My Birth community. This is a community of pregnant women and moms just like you, where you can support each other, ask each other questions. It is an online space that you can go that is judgment-free, uplifting, and safe. So check out that link in the video description, and I'll see you over there. Let's move on to the next thing that you can do. It's one of the simplest and most effective tools, and it's something that your great-grandmother probably used without even realizing it, and that is warm compresses. Now, when you are pushing, a warm, moist cloth held gently against the perineum can make a meaningful difference. The warmth increases circulation, softens the tissue, and makes it more flexible. Studies show that warm compresses reduces the risk of severe tears and can even make the stretching feel less intense. Sometimes nurses will do it automatically, and sometimes they wait to see if you want it. So add it to your birth preferences or let your nurse or OB OB know that you would like to try it. A warm cloth sounds simple, almost too simple, but it actually really works. Now, the way that you push can also make a difference. Now, a lot of women feel really nervous about this part of labor because this is where the stretching and the tearing happens. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to use my daughter's slime to show you. Now, when I pull on the slime slowly, see how it stretches and stretches, and then of course it gets stringy and then gets everywhere. But when you stretch it suddenly, it just tears. Now, how does this apply to pushing in labor? Well, a lot of times in movies, this is what pushing looks like.
On 3, really big push, okay? All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, ready? 2, 3.
I can't believe there's somebody coming out of you right now.
We call this purple pushing or closed glottis pushing, where you hold your breath and bear down. A lot of women are coached to push this way, especially in hospitals and especially if there's an epidural. But here's the truth. Your body gives you the best clues. When you feel the strong urge to push, and if you have not had an epidural, you most certainly will, that's your body telling you it's ready. We call this spontaneous pushing or urge-driven pushing. Following your natural urge helps the baby move down with steady pressure instead of a big burst of force. That steady pressure is the key because when the baby crowns, which is that moment when the baby's head begins to appear, that is when tears usually happen. So your provider may coach you through slow, controlled pushing. Now, it might feel frustrating because you want the baby out, but those controlled pushes gives your skin and muscles time to open. Tissue that stretches slowly is less likely to tear. Tissue that stretches too quick is more likely to rip. Now, during the moment when you're crowning, you might hear your provider say, okay, little pushes, or try to breathe through this. And it's almost always because they see your skin stretching and they're trying to help your body open with less trauma. Those slow moments really do matter. Now, another piece that people don't talk about enough is positioning during birth. Now, many women assume that they have to give birth on their backs, but there are several positions that reduce pressure on the perineum. So side lying, hands and knees, kneeling, leaning forward, or even a supported squat. Side lying is one of the most protective positions because it naturally slows the baby's speed as the head crowns and takes some direct pressure off of the perineum. Hands and knees help widen the pelvic outlet and may help the baby rotate into a better position. A supported squat can also work well, but it all really depends on how your body feels in the moment. So here's the key. Your body will often tell you what position feels right. So if you are able to move, try different positions and listen to your body. If a position makes you feel too much pressure or too fast of a stretch, you can switch. You are allowed to move during labor. It is more difficult to move if you've had an epidural, but your nurses can help you adjust your position if you need to. Now let's talk about something that your provider may do during pushing called perineal support. This simply means that they use their hand to apply gentle pressure to the perineum as the baby crowns. It can help slow things down if the baby is coming quickly and gives the tissues a little support from underneath. The research on this is really promising. Now, some studies show that it helps and others show little difference, but many women report that it makes the stretching feel more controlled. And many midwives and OBs find it helpful. It's not something that you need to request or decide ahead of time. It's something that your provider will usually do based on how your birth is progressing. Now let's talk about something important that you don't need to do, which is a routine episiotomy. Now, years ago, episiotomies were extremely common. An episiotomy is where the perineal tissue is cut with a surgical instrument. Providers thought that they prevented bigger tears and healed faster, but newer research shows that they can actually lead to larger tears and they don't heal as well. So they aren't routinely done anymore unless there is an urgent medical reason, like if the baby is in distress and needs to come out quickly, if there is something called shoulder dystocia where the shoulder gets stuck, or if forceps or a vacuum are needed. But like I said, it isn't something that is done automatically. Most births do not need one. Okay, now you might not be in love with what I'm about to say, but it is the reality of childbirth. Here goes. Deep breath. You can do everything right and still tear. Now, it's not your fault. It doesn't mean that your body wasn't prepared. It doesn't mean that you didn't push correctly. There are just factors that you can't control, like the baby's position, if their hand is by their face, how quickly labor moves, or simply your natural tissue elasticity. And tearing isn't the end of the world. It's really nice if you don't tear, but it's fine if you do. I tore. I had a really large tear, and guess what? I healed, and you will too. Now, this is the part that I mentioned earlier, the part that's more important than any techniques, and that is this. Your emotional state during birth affects your physical body more than people realize. Now, when you feel scared or tense, your pelvic muscles tighten automatically. It's a natural response. When you feel safe and relaxed, those same muscles relax and soften, which helps the tissue to stretch more easily, and you'll be less likely to tear. Now, that doesn't mean that birth won't be intense. Of course it will. What I'm saying is that the environment around you matters. So the best thing that you can do to reduce tearing aren't just physical steps, they're emotional ones too. Preparing your mind and preparing your body. Now, if you're watching this and you are struggling in any way, please know that you are doing an amazing job. I know that there are some hard moments, but you are doing something truly amazing. You are growing a human being from scratch. It is unlike anything that you have ever done in your entire life. I know it's hard, but it is so worth it. So remember, you are growing and glowing, and you are doing an incredible job, so hang in there. And if you are new to my channel, I have made an entire pregnancy series where I walk you through pregnancy week by week. I will talk about baby development, what to expect at your OB appointments, symptoms that you might be having and how to help with them, and so much more. I'm gonna link to that playlist right here. Click on that, and I will see you over there.